originally scheduled to evaluate Megan tonight, but now I have the fortunate stroke of luck to evaluate Glenn. It definitely will be quite challenging. I will be challenged to my wit to do this, but I'm up for the challenge. Something really interesting about Glenn is he's like the Leeds Tony Robbins. He's full of energy, he gets the people going. It doesn't even matter what he's talking about. Here we talk about sewing his jacket. I still find it interesting. He brings the audience in, and he didn't ask me to look out for anything tonight, but I'll just see if I can give him any feedback, and I really look forward to hearing. So a speech titled, Think About Your Feet. Please welcome Glenn.
I'd like to ask you to think about your feet. Did you bring them with you tonight, girls and boys? Are they still where you left them? Everybody's just looked down and thought, oh God, where are they? They're still connected to my legs. We'll come back to this a little bit later on. Part of this speech is that I have to do a little bit of research and speak about something and put a presentation forward. It's been a bit puzzling because I'm kind of not really analytical, don't really like all that mumbo jumbo and graphs and stuff. It tend to goes above my head. So I thought, I know what I'll do. What am I good at? But doodle noodle Google doodling, noodle doodling, Google doodling. I'll talk about something that we're all in here very, very interested about. Have you guessed what it is yet? We're going to talk about public speaking. I'm going to give you the few tips that I've learned that I'm going to try pass on to older speakers, younger speakers, more experienced speakers, new speakers. So here goes. My first tip, eyes and the connection to our audience. Why is it important, Glenn? Why is your eyes so important? Well, not only do we listen and hear through our ears, we are using our eyes to gain contact with our audience. So for example, in this room here, if I'm going to speak to this side of the room, I'm going to focus over here and I'm going to probably pick somebody like Ben out, and I'm going to send him over a nice steady glance. I don't need to be scowling at him like, I'm not trying to pick a fight, but I need to give him a strong enough glance that he knows I'm speaking to him, but soft enough that my peripheral vision will take in everybody around him, and they'll also realise the eye contact's on them as well. If I can keep this for 3 to 5 seconds, and then drop my glance and bring it across to perhaps this side of the room, and I could look at my lovely friend there, Peter, and think, whoa, what a dashing young man he is. Same again. People around Peter should hopefully think I am catching them with my view as well. Drop your glance again, and if you're going to move, pick up either the front, the back, right across the back there to where my lovely Amit friend is, right across to Zen over there up the back. Stephanos, good evening, and to the lovely Simon. Step 2. When we come from behind the curtains onto the stage, or we're getting out of our chairs to come up here to the front, our physiology changes. We get a lovely, lovely blast of adrenaline. The problem is, this tends to have a bit of a negative feedback to our internals, and we become anxious. So what happens when we become anxious? We start to worry about what made us anxious, which was our heart rate starting to lift because of the adrenaline. And it's a vicious loop between adrenaline, heart, anxiety, adrenaline, heart, and suddenly we get cloudy, our vision gets cloudy, and our head gets foggy. But there is perhaps an alternative, and this is it. When we feel this happening to us, we stay in here, we take a bit of a stand and we say, my heart's starting to beat a little bit faster. We tell ourselves, let the inner critic tell us, that's okay. Yeah, but it's starting to beat a little bit faster and faster. It's okay. Our hands are getting a little bit sticky, clammy. Tell yourself again, it's okay. our mouth's starting to get dry. Tell ourselves again, it's okay. And by doing this, we help calm ourselves down, which allows the feelings and emotions that are starting to get into our head to just relax a little bit and start to drain away. So hopefully we get a better thought process and we're allowed to get our speech and our words out just the way we want to get them out to the audience. The third tip, you know what it is, don't you? Think about your feet. Think about your feet, Glenn. What do you want to think about your feet for? You're doing a speech, aren't you? The logic or illogic reason of this is, for most people, or some people will know, we cannot multitask. We cannot think of two things at the same time. So what does that mean? Well, it means that when our heads, it just sort of piggybacks a little bit off tip number 2, but when our head's a little bit foggy, if we take a stand and say, right, I want to think about where my feet are. Yes, they're on the floor, but we become very grounded. And by coming grounded, we take our thoughts from our head straight to our feet. Now, it's the furthest thing away from our heads. So our thoughts and the tension that we had in our head is all of a sudden thinks, I better go down to my feet, because it's just nosy and curious and wants to know what's going on. So it sets off and starts to dissipate, and the pressure in his head starts to clear, the fog starts to clear, and we get like a breath of fresh air in our head. And hopefully our speeches have got more meaning and more presence, and the audience are going to be taking in more by what we're actually explaining. Now, we've been using these tips on and off for 4 to 5 weeks. I'm getting a little bit of success. Perhaps you may be able to get some success from them. Perhaps you'll get some success from yourself, sir. So let me just quickly go back over what I've been giving you the few tips about. Number 1, we've got the eyes and the eye contact. Very important, whether you're a beginner or advanced, because if you don't get the connection with your audience, it's all going downhill. Number 2, we can tell ourselves when it's just getting a little bit sticky, it's okay. Our heartbeat's getting faster. It's okay. Just tell yourself it's okay and steady yourself. If your mouth's getting dry and your hands are getting clammy, it's okay again. Nobody else can see what's going on. There's only you that know that this is apparent. And then obviously this is the third, which when all else fails, and it's you guys and girls' time to shine and come forward, and everything else fails, you can always think about your feet. I've been Glenn, and you guys have been wonderful.
Thank you very much, Glenn. Please can we have 90 seconds on the clock, Stephanie? Yeah, I thought I said 90 minutes on the clock then. 90 seconds on the clock, please, just for some feedback for Glenn. Thank you all.
That was great.